Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the two-point conversion NFL DFS podcast, breaking down your Week 7 slate of action. I am Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, and we're one man down tonight as a freak incident took place. So tonight it's just me and James. You can find James on Twitter at paydirt_DFS. James, how we doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty well. My power did not get knocked out by a car driving into a pole, so I'm doing much better than Bucks presumably is. But yeah, just sweating a little bit of NBA and glad that's back and getting ready to talk about some football.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm actually sweating NBA tonight, and that doesn't happen very often. I actually have interesting action taking place, so it's a good night. Good night. But and to be clear for everybody, Bucks didn't hit the pole. Someone else in the neighborhood did. But, yeah, let's get at it. We have 15 games this week. We've kind of had it easy the last few weeks. We'll start off with the Thursday night matchup in Oakland. Or actually, before we do that, I'm just getting ahead of myself. How'd your week go last week, James?
It wasn't great. I had 30% Aaron Rodgers.
Ouch.
Yeah, so 0.25 points from him sucks. And then I also had 30% Matt Ryan. So 13 points from him with Julio just not getting thrown to. Because if you have Julio Jones on your team, the best thing to do is to not utilize him at all against the worst pass defense in the league. It's just they do not deserve Julio Jones, man. They just don't. That pisses me off. But I digress. The lineups that I had that were not Falcons or Green Bay did very, very well. So injuries suck. It would have been a good day had Aaron Rodgers been able to get through, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it seems like each week there's a weird injury that's killed some of our lineups, and then it's always a situation where what are these coaches doing? Like Julio last week, the week before Carlos Hyde, and then this past week he gets 2 touchdowns. It's like, what are these guys doing? I do want to give you kudos, though. AP went bananas. Congratulations.
Yes, my bold call. I totally destroyed Buck's defense against my running back call. He owes me even more golf now.
Yeah, you're having some fun with him. That's probably that's one of the more disappointing parts about this. I don't get to see what bet you guys get to make this week.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's awesome. But let's get at it. Like I said, 15 games. Thursday night, Oakland. You got Kansas City at the Raiders. Total, it's hovering around 47. Oakland's about a -3 home or a +3 home dog. It's a very, very odd game for me to look at. James, what are you seeing in this one?
Well, I see that Amari Cooper is the 3rd worst wide receiver in the league right now per efficiency stats. And probably contributing quite a bit to this weird line that we're seeing where Oakland is a home dog. Kansas City has been really good, but they did kind of hit a wall against Pittsburgh last week. Pittsburgh doesn't necessarily have like a stonewall defense, so I kind of feel like that incredible variance that they had where they were just getting a 50-yard home run shot twice or 3 times a game is not going to last all season. And I don't think that it was fair to expect that kind of a high-powered performance from Alex Smith week in and week out. That's not who he's been his entire career. It's not who he was in college. So with that being said, 6,400 is a nice price for him going up against this Oakland defense. We know that the Oakland secondary is awful. Somebody like Tyreek Hill can eat against this defense. He's way faster than both Emerson and Gary and Conley, if Gary and Conley plays. So I think 6,400 is fair for Alex Smith. Derek Carr down at 6K. I want to hear that he is practicing in full all week before I take a shot. We're good. But I don't know, man. If he's not practicing in full, I don't think he's going to throw very many times, and I don't really trust the wide receivers on that team anyway. Beast Mode looked good last week. Marshawn Lynch looked great in the first half, and then nothing for the entire second half. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know that he has the steam to make it through a full game anymore, and that really worries me. Kareem Hunt at 8,800. With Charkandrick West out, he's like a must-play, I think. Because there's nobody else to take anything. Like, they can't do anything but give him the ball or give to Akeem Hunt, who they obviously don't think is ready. Like Kareem Hunt at 8,800, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on him, but that is a really it's a tough fade for me this week. Apart from that, I don't really have interest in the wide receivers. You can take a shot at Michael Crabtree if you would like. 6,100, he's going to continue to be good. I think that Amari Cooper at 5,500 is another spot that you can take if you're willing to accept the variance. And then at tight end, Travis Kelce is going to be a good play pretty much week in and week out.
Yeah, we're a lot on the same page here. I agree with the fact that you can't expect Kansas City to have all these big boom plays. We got to remember it's Alex freaking Smith. This is, it's what he does. At the same time, like you said, $6,400 against the 29th best, or you could say the third worst pass defense in all of football. This is a great spot for him at that price tag. You'd be salivating for a lot of players with that tag, and he's one of those guys that's not going to lose you many games. He's going to make the smart plays. He's going to move it down the field. He's going to be a productive quarterback and hopefully get you some touchdowns. With that being said, I love Kareem Hunt. Oakland 21st in the league against the run. They're 29th in the league against pass-catching running backs. And we know we've seen Kareem Hunt get out in the open, in the flats. We know Alex Smith loves to dump it off. This is just a recipe. I know we say it a lot, and coaches disappoint us, but it's a recipe for massive success right here with Kareem Hunt at $8,800. This is the kind of matchup, if you had Lev Bell at 94, you'd be like, yep, all in, let's do it. Hunt is a very good spot here, especially if you play the primetime only slates or this week you get to play fulls because the Monday's already gone. But I think he's a great spot at 88. Kelce, obviously lock and load. An interesting play for me because Tyreek Hill technically does not have a concussion, even though many thought he had a concussion last week. If for some reason he doesn't play or he's limited, DeAnthony Thomas at 3K becomes a sneaky play to me because this guy, if you don't remember him, in college was a freak athlete. He had a huge touchdown last week. He's another one of those Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, get him in the open space guys against a bad Oakland defense that can make some magic happen at $3,000. Other side of the ball, I'm like you. I don't want anything to do with Derek Carr right now until I know he's healthy because he didn't even look good last week. Very timid behind the center. But Crabtree is always worth a look for me as long as the price isn't erroneous. 6,100 isn't crazy for a guy they're going to feed. He's going to move around in different spots in the formation, so he's not going to have the number one guy on him at all times. Other than that, I'm hard on Kansas City in this game, and it's one of those. It's either I think you need to kind of go heavy on Kansas City or take a Hunt by himself or just ignore this game completely.
Yeah, I will say this about Kareem Hunt. With Oakland picking up Navarro Bowman, they're going to have like a much more competent middle linebacker to call out those kind of in the flat Kareem Hunt dump off plays. And that would give me like a little bit of pause if Charkandrick West was healthy, but he's not. So I just wanted to mention that Navarro Bowman is a much better linebacker against running back passes. So they'll improve there, but this isn't the week to care about that.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very valid point, especially going forward, like you said. Let's move on to some Sunday action. This Sunday's, I'll just going to put it bluntly, sucks. The best game's on Sunday night, which is good. It should be on primetime. That's fair. But, man, these totals are just, like, bad. So we're kicking off Tampa Bay at Buffalo. We're waiting on the totals and the spreads. You might have your projected ones because they're waiting to see if Jameis is playing or not. What's your take on this game?
Man. Well, my first take on this is Tyrod Taylor's only 5,100. Which is egregious.
It's criminal.
Yeah, he played very, very well this year. And I know that he hasn't put up massive fantasy points. But at 5,100, you're getting his legs. You're getting like a 30 rushing yard expectation. You're getting the deep shots. He hasn't been making many mistakes. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. And the Tampa Bay defense, we saw what Carson Palmer did to them last week. I mean, that pass defense is atrocious this year and like legitimately bad. New England has players that I think are going to be good. Tampa Bay is just lacking of secondary talent. And so I think that you can attack them continuously throughout the year. Jameis Winston probably won't play if I had to guess. I mean, a sprained AC joint. Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't do so bad last week that they're going to rush Winston back in. I don't think. Like, we know that Fitzpatrick can be good. We know that he can be, like, legitimately good at times. We know that he can be 6 interceptions against Kansas City defense bad, too. But I don't think that he did bad enough that they're going to rush Winston back in. Tentatively, I think that Winston sits and that Fitzpatrick plays. And at that point, at 5K, I think that he's in the conversation if you want to take a shot on him. LaShawn McCoy at 7,400, his price still has not gone up. They're playing at home. 7,400 is kind of an egregious price. I will definitely have my shots at LaShawn McCoy this week. But my similar concerns from earlier in the season still remain. Like they just refuse to feature him in the way that his talent level should be featured. And that really bothers me on somebody who I pay over 7K for, especially a running back, where those big plays aren't necessarily in the repertoire as much as wide receivers are. Doug Martin has looked really good, 5,900. I think you can take a shot there if you'd like. At wide receivers, Mike Evans is only 7,600, which is that's so dumb. Like, I understand 6,900 last week against Patrick Peterson. Fine, man. But 7,600 against this Buffalo defense that is, like, fake good. Like, I know that they look good on paper, but I still don't trust it. And 7,600, Mike Evans is going to beat most of these cornerbacks, especially if we have Ryan Fitzpatrick out there YOLO balling him all game. Like, he might get 15 targets in triple coverage if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So at 7,600, I think Mike Evans is a great play. 5,700 for Deshaun Jackson. It's basically the same home run price that you've been paying for. Last week was slightly underwhelming. Got in the end zone. That was helpful, but it's the home run that we pay for there. At tight end, you can keep looking back to Brate. I haven't heard any news on Clay. Is he still going to be out? Because if he is, then crap. I don't know. But that's pretty much all that I have at this game at that point. If Clay is healthy and plays, then I want him. If he's not, then it's pretty much just LaShawn McCoy, Tyrod Taylor, and Mike Evans for me.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention is if Fitzpatrick starts, I do like the $5,000 price tag, like you said. And to me, it makes these receivers like Evans and even D-Jax, but especially Evans, like you said, very, very much a play because all we know about Fitz is he'll throw 3 or 4 picks, but he'll keep throwing it and throwing it and throwing it. And those picks might help us because the lead just gets bigger. So I love that take there. And then Cameron Brate at 47. I know it's a steep price tag. We like to go down at tight ends at times. But, man, all he's doing is catching touchdowns right now. He's getting in the end zone over and over again. Buffalo's mediocre at best against tight ends. So he's going to be overlooked, I think, in that price range because either guys are going to go up to the top tier or they're going to go down. And so 47, I think Brate gets overlooked in this one. But to the Buffalo side of the ball, I love Tyrod at 51. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks this week. You hit it right on the head. As you're getting his legs and his arm, Tampa Bay's defense is 31st worst in football, 31st worst against the pass, or 31st best, I guess, against the pass. And they stink against pass catching running backs also. So Shady, $7,400. Agree with you completely there on everything you said. And if Charles Clay cannot go, I don't mind giving a look at Nick O'Leary. I'm just phrasing it really, really chalky. But we know how good he was in college. And in his short time when he came in for Clay in their last game, he had 5 catches on 6 targets for 54 yards, and he wasn't even in the game that long. So he was getting looked at early and often at 3,100. Get you a bit of a discount there if you'd like. So something to think about there. But, yeah, I've seen a lot of Jordan Matthews talk at 3,700. What are your thoughts on Matthews? Because I just haven't seen it from him, but I know the value's there in a very prime matchup.
I think that if Charles Clay does not play, then you can take a shot on Jordan Matthews. If Charles Clay plays, he's going to get his 9-10 targets. He's a full target monster. He's basically Delaney Walker in this offense. But if he misses, then I like your Nick O'Leary call, and I think that Jordan Matthews is at the very least interesting, especially if he's going to line up in the slot. Tampa Bay's slot corner is like the second worst in the game. So Jordan Matthews is fine at 3,700. He might be really chalky. I think Tyrod Taylor will. So if you want to take correlation on Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Matthews, that's a better route to go in tournaments.
Yeah. The important takeaway, Tyrod Taylor, LaShawn McCoy, both very, very cheap. Moving on, Carolina at Chicago. This is one of the stinky ones. Chicago 3-point home dog. The total is around 40.5 right now. It's just 2 mediocre ball clubs, James. What do you got on this one?
Oh, not a lot. Cam Newton is overpriced. Christian McCaffrey at 6,100 actually is good. He catches so many balls that at 6,100 it's kind of steep for somebody who's not going to see a lot of the action. I honestly probably won't play him, but at 6,100, like he could easily have 7 or 8 catches and get to value through that route just through receiving and not even worry about running. At some point, Jonathan Stewart is just going to get kicked right out of this team. He's been absolutely atrocious. So if you think that this is the week that Christian McCaffrey overtakes him, maybe if you hear that Christian McCaffrey is starting, if Christian McCaffrey starts, then he's worth a shot at 6,100. If Jonathan Stewart remains starting running back, I don't really want any part of it. Jordan Howard carried the ball about 1 million times last week, but at 6,400 at home against this Carolina defense, oh, well, Kuechly's not in. Actually, I think Jordan Howard is decent if Kuechly's not in. They just feed him over and over and over and over and over again. And that O-line is not bad. Jordan Howard is probably my favorite play in this game. I don't want any of the wide receivers, literally at all. I don't want Kendall Wright. I don't want Justin Bellamy. I don't want Trey McBride. I don't want any of the wide receivers in this game. At tight end, Ed Dixon is still just Ed Dixon, and Carolina plays very well against tight ends. So I don't want anything really here. The only thing that I might want is the running backs. I'll take Jordan Howard. I actually do have interest there, and Christian McCaffrey if he starts.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me how we all felt on that Rams-Jaguars game last week. Just give me the running backs, and we move on. McCaffrey is one of the – I have a handful of guys on this slate, especially that aren't wide receivers, but you're going to get that wide receiver value. So when people say, oh, he's 6,100 at running back, he doesn't deserve that price, well, think of him as a running back that's getting you wide receiver production, and it changes everything. And he just think of the end number and don't think of the position when it comes to McCaffrey because, like you said, they feed him, and they feed him. He's actually starting to find the end zone of late, and his playing time, the splits are starting to widen, like you said. So McCaffrey's very much in play. I don't mind Howard at all. I will look again at Zach Miller as he's still kind of cheap at 3,200. He was 29 last week. The end zone, the touchdown was a fluky touchdown, I'll be completely honest with you. But at 32, he does at least somewhat come and play for me. And honestly, the Carolina D at 36, and I wouldn't even mind taking a dart at the Bears D at 22 in this one, just because I think it's going to be such a low-scoring game. The weather's not supposed to be the greatest. It could be interesting. I'm not running to play the Bears defense, but at the same time, if you just want to look at numbers on paper, they're actually better than Carolina. So, yeah, what do you got, James?
I am running to play the Bears defense at 2,200. I didn't know they were that cheap.
It's a steal at that price.
Yeah, that is a good front seven with a decent secondary against this Panthers team on the road. Yeah, man. At 2,200, I like paying down a defense anyway. And if I can get a home defense against a QB that has been underperforming and a team that's been underperforming that has sack potential, yeah, sign me up for that. I think that a Jordan Howard Bears correlation play, that's nice. That for that price, you can get that for cheap.
Yeah, it's one of the – there's 3 defenses, 26 and below, I don't mind targeting. I think it very much comes in play. It's a home game. They're only 3-point dogs. It's going to be close, and the total's 40.5. So it lines up as a nice little play there. Let's go to a game that is – we always have a weekly game where the teams aren't the prettiest, but fantasy-wise we could have some fun. Tennessee at Cleveland. Cleveland 6-point home dogs. The total's around 46.5 right now. This game has value and potential fireworks, in my opinion. What do you got, James?
Every single week we come to Cleveland, and every single week I say their quarterback is super underpriced for the matchup, but who the hell do I team them with? Last week I tried Ricardo Lewis, did not hit. The week before that it was Rashad Higgins, didn't hit. Every single week I try to find the wide receiver, and it's not there. So yeah, I like Deshaun Kaiser at 4,900 against this awful Tennessee secondary. Of course I like that, but I don't know who on earth I'm supposed to pair him with, and I refuse to go naked QB. So Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser at 4,900. That's very nice. If we can get some sort of indication of where the ball is going to go, I love it. Let's do this. On the other side, Marcus Mariota at 6,900. Um, he he did not look very great last week. Obviously, coming off that hamstring injury, he looked timid. He looked hesitant. He didn't want to run. He was not mobile in the pocket. So for 6,900, I don't really have a lot of confidence in him being a leader, if that makes sense. He'll be a game manager, but I don't want to pay 6,900 for a game manager. At that point, I'd rather just pay down at the 5,500 or 5,100 for Tyrod Taylor. There's no way that I want to pay 6,900 for Mariota in this game. Murray is questionable with a hamstring injury, and Henry just crushed last week. Crushed. Yeah. At 5,500, he will be gross chalk this week if DeMarco Murray misses. At 5,500, we're talking 35 to 40% owned in the Millie Maker. Just gross chalk. But I don't need to talk about that anymore. Isaiah Crowell, Duke Johnson, I don't really want any part of that backfield until they start scoring some points on the team itself. Every single wide receiver in this game is underpriced. I love Rashard Matthews. I like Eric Decker. To throw some darts on the Cleveland wide receivers if you feel like it. And then at tight end, Delaney Walker at 5,800 it's a tight end against the Browns, man, and it's a very good tight end against Browns. So I think that at 5,800, he's going to be ultra chalk, but in cash, you have to go there. In GPPs, he might be worth a fade if there's another tight end that you like more, but I don't think there's another tight end that you're going to like more if you're paying up for at that point.
Yeah, we're a lot on the same page here. Kaiser, I totally like him at 49. It's hard to go naked, like you said. You do get him. He's going to run for 30 to 40 yards, almost guaranteed. It's what he does. He's going to, get a touchdown or two. It's just a matter of how many picks. But yeah, you don't know where he's going. I know he had good games with pretty much everybody at a different time each week. The one thing I will say about Duke Johnson, he's back at 49, and when he was catching a lot of balls, it was with Kaiser. And that was a big factor for me. And you're facing a Tennessee team that does not do good against the passing running back at all. The only concern is, does Duke Johnson line up in the backfield or at wide receiver? So that changes a lot of that one there. So take that with a grain of salt. But that price tag, it's another one of those guys you get kind of wide receiver production at a discount. Now when you go to Tennessee, I agree. Mariota's price is goofy, but that price is partially why I'm intrigued, because most are going to definitely pay down, like you said, which I don't disagree with. Or they're going to go up because Breeze isn't that far away. Prescott's not that far away. They're right there, right next to him. So he's going to go supremely low owned, really low owned in this matchup. DeMarco Murray, if he plays, great play, obviously. He had a great Monday night. But I do like Henry, uber chalk. And like you said, Matthews, Decker woke up. Keep an eye if you want a cheap receiver. Tywan Taylor finally cracked through last week. He's that boomer bust guy like we talked about with Goodwin and other guys like that. You might get the dud, but what you saw last week is the talent he has, which this team really, really likes about him, and they might try to showcase him more as the season goes on. We'll see. And then Delaney Walker, he's the play of the game. He's the entire play of the entire game, like you said. We're definitely on the same page here. Delaney at 58 is going to get fed. He's going to get at least one touchdown. It's his game or nothing, basically. Yep. Let's move on to an interesting one, an Aaron Rodgers list one. We got New Orleans at Green Bay. Green Bay is about a 5.5-point dog. You see 6 at some places. Total's 47.5. So you got New Orleans, who they always say isn't as good on the road outside the dome, is a nice favorite in Lambeau. Thoughts?
Give me the under here. First off, I don't really like the Saints on the road. I definitely buy into that based on a couple of different factors, especially going to Green Bay. It's a very environment plan. Aaron Rodgers being out, super duper tilting, and there's no way that I want to play Brett Hundley. The way that I look at this is like this. First off, the Saints defense proved that they are legitimate last week with the 40 touchdowns that they had through interceptions. Second off, I don't think with the emergence of Aaron Jones and how good Ty Montgomery has been on the ground, I don't think they ask Brett Hundley to be a hero here. I think that they just ask him to throw maybe 20 times, Get us through the first couple of quarters. Let's try to get a lead. I don't think they want him to throw a lot. He doesn't seem like, and they didn't seem like they wanted to use him much last week either. At 5,100, he is good for the weapons that he has around him, but I just think that this is a ground game. I don't think they have any reason to try to throw the ball a lot. On the ground, speaking of, Mark Ingram got a significant price bump up to 6,700. Definitely warranted, though. He frickin' crushed last week. Alvin Kamara, a slightly smaller upgrade up to 5,600. Aaron Jones still only 5,200. He saw plenty of snaps. He saw plenty of work. Ty Montgomery, 5,500. But I can't trust any of this here. I prefer Mark Ingram, but on the road in a matchup that I don't know how it's going to go, I don't know if I want him or Kamara. I definitely don't know if I want Jones or Ty Montgomery. I don't know. Running backs, not for me in this game. Michael Thomas should bounce back in a big way here, 7,500. He put up a dud last week up against Darius Slay. Darius Slay has always shut him down if you look back to last year. Michael Thomas is a very good wide receiver. 7,500 is a pretty decent discount. And then you have the Green Bay wide receivers where Jordan Nelson is now just 6,800. Devontae Adams is 5,800. Randall Cobb is 5,300. These guys are getting down there in price. So in tournaments, I understand going Hundley and a Packers stack just because it's really cheap, especially if you think that Mike McCarthy is a good coach and can utilize the talent in a similar way that they could with Rodgers. I could see this being a stack that really works out just based on price, but I do respect the Saints defense, so I'm not sure that I'm ready to go there yet. At tight end, nope. Martellus Bennett sucks. Colby Fleener sucks. Lance Kendrick sucks. Huamanamanui, who I cannot pronounce the name of, he catches touchdowns sometimes, but he's not used that often. I think one of the best plays here is going to be the Saints defense at 3K. So my only interest really is Michael Thomas, the Saints defense, and that's pretty much all I want.
Yeah, this game, if you would have told us this game 2 weeks ago, we'd been pumped. This game had all the makings of just awesomeness. But now it's so tough to figure out. I agree. Green Bay is going to want to just run the ball. New Orleans isn't very good at running the ball, 24th in the league. Stopping the run, I like the idea of Jones at 52, but Montgomery's getting healthier. They basically split the carries last week. So what are you going to do? We've talked about the split backfields and what to do. I understand Adams at 58, Cobb's at 56, I think it is. Super cheap. So, yeah, I get all that. Otherwise, I don't mind Ingram's bump at 67. I think it scares people off. But Ingram, Saints, defense correlation could definitely be in play. That's about the only way I go here. This game, would you be shocked if they both started scoring and stuff? Because Hundley could play great. He did throw the ball really well in college. He sat and watched Rodgers for a couple of years. It could happen. Do you want to put all your money on that when you know there's other spots out there? Maybe in the Millie Maker, but otherwise, no. That's just not where I'm going with it. I'll pick my poison elsewhere. It's kind of disappointing in that game of those two teams, but that's where I'm at. The only other guy, if you want to get really GPP stupid, I must have a fetish for Ted Ginn Jr. At $4,100, he broke one last week, and he got tackled at the one on another one. They keep feeding him the ball and giving him shots. I think he's worth a look, but at the same time, pick your poison elsewhere. Like this next game, Jacksonville at Indiana. Indiana 3-point home dogs, totals around 43.5. AFC South battle, James. What do you got here?
Is Fournette going to play? Because if Fournette plays, then I want Fournette. If Fournette doesn't play, I literally don't want any part of this entire game. Literally any of it. So the only thing that Indianapolis can do is pass the ball. And the only thing that Jacksonville does right on defense is defend the pass. The only thing that Jacksonville can do on offense is run the ball. The only thing that Indianapolis does okay is defend the run. So, no. Just no. Give me none of this at all. Literally at all. I don't know what the defense is. I think they're overpriced. So, nope, nothing. Nothing for me.
So, Marlon Mack at 4,100 doesn't appetize you?
Dude, literally nothing. I do not want anything from this game. Like, if Marlon Mack starts over Frank Gore, then sure. Marlon Mack is a good back, and we know that Jacksonville is bad against the run. But if Frank Gore starts and we have this stupid timeshare between Frank Gore and Marlon Mack, then no. Just a lot of no. Nope.
If Fournette doesn't go, Chris Ivory at 48. He's played really well.
Sure. Yeah. If Fournette does not go, then I will take Chris Ivory, but I expect Fournette to go.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those, like, he could go out in the first quarter and get injured again, but yeah, I'm with you. Okay. Let's just move on to the next one. Arizona at the Rams. I'm with you. That's pretty much what I was looking at. Arizona at the Rams. Rams, 3.5-point favorites. Totals around 47. Is this game in London?
No.
That's an early time for West Coast teams. That's really early. Give your breakdown. I'll look and see where it's at. But what do you got?
Carson Palmer got a little bit of a price bump. He's up 6,600 now, which I think is a much more fair price. We were attacking him while he was cheap for the beginning of the season. It was profitable. At 6,600, I think that is a more moderate price, and I think that's exactly where he deserves to be. We saw Adrian Peterson do really, really well last week as they fed him, but a lot of that was also really good game script for them as they got up a good lead in the beginning. I don't expect them to continue to feed Adrian Peterson that kind of volume. And at 5,800, God, that is a huge price bump. I figured he would have gotten up to like 4,500. I was ready to take one more shot with him at 4,500. I don't think that I can do it at 5,800. He's not getting all of the volume. He's still getting a couple things taken away from him. He's not there really in the passing game. At 5,800, let other people take him and take another shot on him. I'll be off this week. Todd Gurley at home against Arizona is a really nice spot. They got back to feeding him pretty well last week. They need to continue feeding him. He needs to be a 3-down back for this team to be successful. At 8,200, you get a discount off of Kareem Hunt, which I'm not sure that matters here. I still would rather have Kareem Hunt this week for $600 more, just based off of volume alone. We know that Kareem Hunt is going to get the volume, whereas Gurley might get siphoned a little bit from Brown, maybe a little bit here and there. But Todd Gurley at 8,200 is still a pretty nice price if you feel like fading Kareem Hunt. Wide receivers, John Brown has taken his job back. I really like him at 4,900. I think that's a good price. The Rams will play slow, so we're not going to have a lot of super big volume for them. I don't think Carson Palmer's going to throw more than 35 times here, but John Brown is going to take back that number one outside spot. Larry Fitzgerald is 7,300. No thanks. It's getting to the middle of the season, and I know he's going to start slowing down. I'm going to jump off the train before other people do. And then Sammy Watkins at 4,400 is going to get covered by Patrick Peterson. Cooper Kupp is going to have to deal with Tyrann Mathieu. So Robert Woods at 4K is going to be out there on Bethel. Give me all of the cheap secondary wide receivers against Arizona. It's every week, man. It's like 4 weeks straight. If there's anybody that I love,
load them up.
It's going to be Robert Woods at 4K. It's just a smash play, man. Just keep going there. It has not turned us down yet. And then as far as defenses go, I think both defenses are underpriced. 2,600 for the Rams against a team that throws a lot is nice. 2,400 for the Cardinals against a rookie-ish quarterback is nice. So I think the defenses are in play. Lock up Robert Woods and take a shot on Todd Gurley and GPPs.
Yep, and this is in London.
Oh.
Somehow it's in London. I was shocked because the time and West Coast teams. I couldn't figure it out. I don't mind Palmer and Brown. I will not pay 73 for Fitzgerald. I don't care if it was week 1. I'm not paying 73 for Fitzgerald. Just wasn't happening. I am going to look a lot at the Rams. I know Arizona is going to score. They will. But Goff is slightly intriguing at 58. But I love Robert Woods at 4,000. That was one of the first names I went and attacked. Gurley at 82, which I do just love. The Rams defense at 26 is sneaky nice for the fact that they are one of the best pass rush teams in football since Aaron Donald's come back and he gets healthier and healthier and healthier. So there's a ton to like about that Rams defense because we know the Arizona offensive line is not good at protecting Carson Palmer. Those early games where Palmer had all those interceptions and problem, there was defense in his face all day long. So their D is big. And if you want a cheap tight end, I don't mind Higbee for the Rams. The middle of that field is always wide open. That's why we love the slot receivers, and that's why Higbee could be in for a big game at 27. So some nice little plays there. Rams defense, Higbee. But yeah, Woods, $4,000. Eventually, DraftKings will pick up on the fact that Arizona can't cover that position and might change things. But then again, probably not. Let's move on to South Beach. The Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins minus 3-point home favorites are coming off a big win in Atlanta and a whopping 38.5-point total. Like, literally, I already get depressed watching Dolphins games. That total makes me even – it's not good, James. What do you got in this one?
I'm gonna be brutally honest with you here, Mr. Dolphins fan. I don't know how the Dolphins are favored in this game. I really don't.
I don't either. I don't. I'm with you. It should be a pick 'em at best.
Yeah, at best. I mean, the Jets kept up with the Patriots. They are a legitimate team right now at 3-3, which, by the way, at the beginning of the season, I definitely said the Jets would be better than people thought they would be. Just going to take a victory lap there. But, yeah, I don't know how the Dolphins are favored in this game. Josh McCown has been more than serviceable. He's been good. He's been able to find ASJ, who's been a fantastic boon to that offense. I really like him at 5,200 against the worst pass defense in the league. Like, it worked against New England. It should work this week as well. Jay Cutler is down there at 4,700. Probably not cheap enough. I'm still not going to go there. I'm just going to move on. Jay Ajayi at 6,200 looked incredible last week and finally looked like he began to pick it up. We know that Jay Ajayi is streaky. We know that he gets on these huge little like clumps of great games. At 6,200, I think you take another shot on him here. It's very obvious that Jay Cutler cannot command this offense and move it down the field. If they're going to have any shot, it's going to be on Jay Ajayi. So I really like Jay Ajayi at 6,200. I still can't touch this Jets backfield. Now all three of them are going to be healthy. They're all between 4K and 5,200. I'm not touching any of that. Jarvis Landry, just like I said last week, picked up every single target that Devontae Parker would drop. So at 6,800, that's where the ball is going to go. The Jets secondary is good on the outside, but not on the inside. Their linebackers aren't incredible. So Jarvis Landry at 6,800, totally in play again for me. As far as the Jets wide receivers, Javon Curse has been good. At 4,700, I think that you get a wide receiver one that's not great, but if he gets 8-9 targets, 4,700 is easy to pay off, especially against Miami defense. And if I like Josh McCown, then I have to like some of his receiving options, including Safarian Jenkins, who is 5K and is your premier pivot off of Delaney Walker if you're going to do that in tournaments. Safarian Jenkins is the best talent on this team as far as the receiving corps go. He's big, he's brutal, he's been sober, so he's got good balance. I really like Safarian Jenkins in this game. Josh McCown, Safarian Jenkins sacks make a lot of sense to me this week. As far as defenses go, both are at 3K. I don't really want either one of them. I think they're a little bit overpriced. If the Jets were slightly cheaper, if the Jets were like 2,600, I would have interest. But like I said, I think they win this game, so I'm not going to take the Dolphins.
Yeah, I don't hate on any of that. I do like McCown. If anything, he's efficient. He's getting touchdowns. I will look at Matt Forte. We were worried about him early in the year, and he's come back last week. Running the ball wasn't great. He was targeted 9 times. I know it was New England. They had to keep battling from behind. I get all that. Game flow dictated a little bit different, but he caught 8 of 9. Even if he catches 4 or 5 balls, like at $4,500, you know he can break one and find the end zone. I don't hate Forte at 45, but ASJ is the way to go in my books at $5,000. He got, I think it was 27 or 28% of the target share last week. It is ridiculous at tight end what he is getting. You've seen the touchdowns. He should have had another one. We don't need to get into that mess. He is just a monster at that position, just a monster. So, yeah, definitely in play. I don't hate Curse. I've used Curse in the past. I just can't figure out where they're going because Anderson's very, very talented. Curse is showing he's talented. I have no clue where they want to go. So I don't hate the play. I just, at that price tag, there's other gambles I've mentioned I'd probably feel more comfortable with, but I totally understand where you're coming from. And then with Miami, I love Jay Ajayi at $6,200. Absolutely love this play. The Jets are not good against the rush. They're not good against the pass catching running backs. Everything Ajayi can do, given they don't throw him the ball because, well, Jay Cutler's quarterback. He should feast. We finally saw them feed him the ball last week in a tight game, which this could be a tight game again if Vegas is right. Not saying the spread's right, but should still be tight. Ajayi should get another heavy workload, find the end zone maybe for you, get the yards. At $6,200, you're getting a premier back at a great price tag. And then, yes, Landry, I've used him almost every week because all he does is get targeted double digits every game. So $6,800, give it to me. And that's all I got there. But McCown at 52, that's one of your value quarterbacks to really, really take a hard look at this week. I definitely like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Baltimore at Minnesota. Minnesota 5.5-point home favorites. Totals right around 40, a little less than 40. So another one of those just barn burners. What do you have in this one?
Well, Teddy Bridgewater is min price and might play this week. And if Teddy Bridgewater is min price and plays this week, I have to take him with Adam Thielen. And I would feel wrong not doing that. Adam Thielen is still only 6,700 with Stephon Diggs not practicing yet. So if I can get Teddy Bridgewater and Adam Thielen for 10.7, that's good, man. I'll take that for a wide receiver one and his quarterback. Even if it is against Baltimore defense that I respect, Baltimore is not near as good on the road, and Minnesota is much better at home. So, first off, Teddy Bridgewater's price, way too low. I know they didn't expect him to be back, but 4K, that's something that should be taken advantage of. On the other side, Joe Flacco sucks. Moving on to running back, Jerick McKinnon was ultra shock last week, and I faded him, and it hurt me. At 6,300, I think that he will again carry quite a bit of ownership, even against Baltimore. I'm going to fade him again. I think that he is a good quarterback or a good running back. I do think that he's a good running back, but I'm just not sold on – I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. At 6,300, I just would rather have Jay. I know that Jay is going to get all of the carries. I don't know what's going to happen with McKinnon and Murray. Even if Murray is worse, we don't know. I don't know. What do you think of Jerick McKinnon before I move on?
I like him for the fact that he's a part of the passing game. Murray's going to be more of your goal line running guy. If McKinnon's even in for, say, 60% of the snaps, he's going to be in for all the passing for the most part. And for that, in DraftKings, that's huge. You see him, they love using him in the passing game. He's been very effective in the running game. I don't mind him because I think a lot of people are going to have the same sentiments you have at that price tag, given I do love Ajayi much more. But I've heard the same thing from a lot of people already that they can't pay up for that, and that changes things come Sunday morning.
That's fair. I'm probably a little bit biased on him. I always get a little bit biased on guys that burned me the week before. So I don't know. Maybe at 6,300, you can have both Jay and Jerick McKinnon. And I think that that's fair. I don't think that that's a bad idea to go. At wide receiver, I already talked about Adam Thielen, 6,700, still way too cheap. I don't care if it's Baltimore. I don't care who it is. If that dude's just going to get peppered with targets all game and I can get his quarterback at 4K, then I want Adam Thielen. If Stephon Diggs comes back, he's only 6,900. And if Teddy Bridgewater is back and I can have all of them in a full stack, fire it up. Let's go. As far as Baltimore wide receivers go, Joe Flacco sucks. Moving on to tight end. Kyle Rudolph is 3,800. If Case Keenum plays again and Stephon Diggs does not, Kyle Rudolph is a decent option at 3,800. We saw him get 9 targets the week before last week and then kind of let up a dud just based off of game flow last week. So I think Kyle Rudolph is interesting at 3,800. Ben Watson is questionable at 3K. Basically every single tight end that ever gets put on a Baltimore roster is questionable. So I just don't want Baltimore at all, and I think that I'm higher on Minnesota than I should be.
I'm just going to show you something real quick. Anybody that can see the camera? If it focuses. Oh, it probably won't. There's my Baltimore info for you. Nothing. Yeah, that's my Baltimore info. I want nothing to do with them. Now Minnesota's got some stuff. So like I already talked about McKinnon. I completely get both sides of the spectrum. It's all there. The play in this game, like you said, is Adam Thielen. Regardless if Diggs goes or not, but if Diggs doesn't go, it's that much better. Him and Rudolph. Rudolph, I don't hate if Diggs is out for the fact I think it was like it's their last 4 or 5 games without Diggs had double-digit targets each in every game. It's been like 8, 9 or more targets, both each separate. That's nuts for a player like that. And I don't hate the Vikings D at 3,300. If I'm paying up for defense, that's as high as I'm going at 33. Flacco will throw at least 1 interception. You can put that one in the books. It will happen. He's just dreadful this year. So I don't mind the Vikings D at 3,300, especially at home. They play phenomenal in that building. It's a whole nother animal. But, yeah, focus on Thielen. I love Thielen even if regardless of the quarterback. Thielen is great. I'm very hesitant on Diggs even if he plays – the guys over at Chris Raybon and those guys, they mentioned like on all their research with Diggs, when he is questionable or battles an injury all week, horrible if he suits up that week. So if he plays this week, I'm almost already crossing him off the list for me. But Thielen, maybe some Rudolph and Vikings defense, that's my main targets in this game.
I agree.
Dallas at San Francisco. This used to be such a great game. San Francisco's 6-point home dogs, totals around 46.5, 47. There's a lot to like in this one, especially with the guy named Ezekiel Elliott getting another weekend to think about what he did wrong. James, what do you got on this one?
Well, Ezekiel Elliott at 9K against the 49ers is just an auto lock. I don't care if it's at home or on the road or in the middle of a volcano or on the moon. Ezekiel Elliott, man, especially how pissed off he must be about all of this media circus. Like, just take out your anger on that defense and just rush for 3 million yards. Dak Prescott at 7,300, maybe a little bit overpriced, but San Francisco is very bad against pass. We just saw what Kirk Cousins did to him. So I don't have any problem with Dak Prescott. And you also have to consider that Dez Bryant is going to win pretty much every matchup with these San Francisco corners. They're some of the worst in the league. Their outside corners are just atrocious. So Dak Prescott to Dez Bryant makes sense. I don't really like Dez Bryant's price at 7,800, but I guess I could eat that if I wasn't going someone like Mike Evans, if I wasn't going Doug Baldwin or somebody like that. For running backs, I hate Carlos Hyde. I hate Carlos Hyde, and I hate Matt Breida, and I hate Kyle Shanahan, and I just hate that entire situation. Like, use one or the other for DFS purposes. I get why it works from a real-life standpoint, that splitting backs lowers attrition and continue and blah, 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 blah. But, man, it's so frustrating for DFS. So I'm staying completely away from the San Francisco backfield. I can't do it. I won't do hot hands anymore this year. At wide receiver, Dez Bryant at 7,800, maybe a little bit overpriced for what he brings to the table. He's not a huge volume guy, so he would have to get 2 touchdowns for me to be really happy with his performance, but that's totally within the cards here. Pierre Garçon at 5,800 is good as long as he continues to get peppered with targets. Marquise Goodwin at 3,900 is a perfectly fine home run shot. If you'd like to take it, have some sprinkles and GPPs. He's basically like Mike Franco. You know that he's going to suck most of the time, but then he's going to have a two home run game, and you're going to be stoked on it. Tight end.
So well said.
Yeah. At tight end, Jason Witten at 4,500 is actually a pretty decent price. I know San Francisco has been good against tight ends, but we know how much Dak Prescott likes Jason Witten. And then George Kittle on the other side. I saw a notification about Sean Lee earlier. I don't remember if he is practicing or not. If he's not going to play, George Kittle is a good play. If he is going to play, then I don't want any part of it. Finally, for the defenses, Cowboys at 3,500. No thanks. But the 49ers at 2,100 at home. What do they have to do? Sack Dak Prescott twice and not give up 40 points? I don't hate that. I think that's worth a shot.
Yeah, give me the Bears at 22.
I agree.
I'd rather go, but I see where you're going. If you are a team total person, Dallas has the second highest on the Sunday slate for a very valid reason. That's all I'm going to put that at. Ezekiel Elliott. Last week we gushed over Leonard Fournette. The week before we gushed over Le'Veon Bell. This is our guy this week, in my opinion. This is if you're paying up at running back, and not everybody does, if you are, this is your guy. We saw what he did his first week after all the stuff went down week one, torched everybody under the moon. It's going to happen again this week. You already mentioned Navarro Bowman's gone. There's going to be so many issues with this team. If Zeke doesn't go off, it's because the ginger is dumber than I thought he was. Just ridiculous. But Zeke is there. I don't mind Dak. I know it's steep. I've had Prescott, Elliott, and Bryant stacks before, and they work just fine. Don't hate on that completely. So they're all in play. I know they're pricey, but they're in play. Other side of the ball. You're going to hear C.J. Beathard, Kittle, roommates in college, all this stuff all week long. That is fine. As a Big Ten fan who watched Beathard at Iowa, if people wanted to give me a hard time about Kevin Hogan, this guy's worse because he can't run the football. Like, he's a dink and dunk artist, and he might have a big game just for the fact that Dallas's defense is atrocious. Like, they are just horrible. So if you want to take the 4,900 gamble, I'm okay with that. I'll go 51 to Tyrod Taylor or 52 to McCown. Give me those guys. Kittle is in play, especially without Lee, because they've got no one else really in the middle of the field to throw to. Garcon at 58 is always worth a look because they feed him. Even Beathard will feed him. That's just the way the offense is drawn up. And then Carlos Hyde. It's one of those that you need to just – if you're going to play him, it's boom or bust. That's all I'm going to say. If you're going to play him in a GPP, knock yourself out. I'm so tilted over him like you are, James. I can't do it. I just can't anymore. I'm done with him. But if you want it, you know what you saw last week's possible, but then what you saw the week before is possible. So just keep that in mind. But Dallas, it's going to be chalky, but at the same time, maybe not because they're priced up. Bryant will probably go very, very low owned. So keep that in mind when you keep building your lineups. An AFC North battle, Cincinnati at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh minus 5.5. Point home favorites, totals around 41.5, 42. Very intrigued by some things in this game, James. What do you got on this?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger at 6,200 is still, especially in this game, we have seen these games go under the total pretty much every single time these two teams play. And I'm not really inclined to think otherwise, but at the same time, I kind of feel like a Ben Roethlisberger explosion is coming. I didn't think there would be last week. And I know that people were on him, and Antonio Brown had that stupid fluky touchdown that crushed all of my winnings and just annihilated my face last week. But I think that the Ben Roethlisberger explosion is coming, and nobody will be on him this week. So one of my tactics moving forward that I'm going to employ is in the 3-entry max tournaments, I'm just going to throw in 3 Steelers stacks every week from here on out because I think it's coming. I think it's coming, especially like after all the Martavis Bryant talk and Antonio Brown. Like, I think it's coming. So this week, I will be employing some Steelers stacks and moving forward. Andy Dalton has looked very, very good on the other side since Bill Lazor got implemented as the offensive coordinator. But the Steelers defense has been pretty good. So at 5,700, I'd rather just pay down to McCown / Tyrod Taylor. I'm not really about that price. Le'Veon Bell at 9,100 is probably going to be 20% owned, whereas Zeke will be 30% owned. He's a decent pivot, but I don't think that he'll be low owned enough to really make it enough of a gap. Like, you don't get that much leverage for the $100 more that you pay Bell. So I would much rather just have Zeke. Joe Mixon at 5K is going to continue to get fed. He is the number one back in that offense now. They are finally giving in to using him and developing him because I don't think they have playoff aspirations at this point. So I think they're just going to continue to develop Mixon. At wide receiver, wow, Antonio Brown is only 8,900 for some god-unknown reason. Cincinnati doesn't have anybody that can really cover him, and it's playing at home where we know that Ben Roethlisberger is better. AJ Green at 8,300. That's a fine price. Martavis Bryant is 4,300. Take the home run shot. You could make a really fun lineup if you went Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, Robert Woods, Ezekiel Elliott, and then like something else. Like that is a really, really nice base as a lineup. But I don't really want any wide receivers other than the big three in this game, whereas Antonio Brown, A.J. Green, Martavis Bryant. Tight ends, you can look at Tyler Kroft if you want. I respect the Pittsburgh linebacker crew a little bit more, so I'm not going to. It's really just I think the Ben Roethlisberger explosion is coming, so I want some stacks this week.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. A.J. Green at 8,300 loves facing his Steelers, so he's always worth a look for me. And in that price range with those heavy-priced guys, I know he's talked about it a lot, so I don't want to say he's getting overlooked, but I think people are going to pay up or they're going to pay down. So he's in that weird spot price-wise. Mixon at 5,000 is a very nice value because if this game stays close like they usually do, he's, like he said, going to get fed over and over again. So those are my two guys there. I agree, Pittsburgh, it's coming. We've seen Bell's workload increasing. He's getting going. Brown's getting his every week. All it takes is a home run or two, and things just get rolling, like you're saying. So I have no problem with Ben, Bell, Brown. I still am a fan of Juju at 38. I know Brian at 45 is an option, but either one of those I have no problem with. You get a value as part of your big stack, like you're saying. Or if you want to go cheap at tight end, Jesse James, I know he's not the big play guy, but he's going to get targets in the red zone with Ben, especially against the Bengals team. It's not that great against the tight end. So Jesse at 2,900 will give you some of that savings you need for the other big positions and still a piece of the pie that you're looking for with Pittsburgh. Now, if you think it's going to be close, I don't mind the Bengals at 2,500. I don't mind their defense at 2,500 because they can force a few turnovers. Because if it is close, there will be a couple Ben turnovers. So it's just kind of how you think game flow takes place. You're either going to stack the Steelers or you can play some Bengals defense and Joe Mixon or stuff like that, mix and match. I don't mind a piece of Joe Mixon in your Steelers stack to get a game stack going. That because you can't get AJ in that at all. Not possible. So I don't mind it, and I like your idea because you know they're going to hit the nuts here eventually. Denver at the Chargers. Chargers are only a 1.5-point home favorite. Totals around 41.5. I love the Chargers in this game. What are your thoughts?
I don't love the Chargers in this game. I still respect the Denver secondary. I don't know what the hell happened last week that I literally don't even have words. Like, you can chalk some things up to variance. You can chalk some things up to having a bad game. It's pretty hard to chalk anything up to Denver letting the Giants beat them last week. I don't even have words. Like, I have to stop talking about it because it makes me mad. But
It's horrible.
400 is probably in a nice bounce back spot here. I know that he's not very good on the road, but he's going to be tossing it up a lot. If Emmanuel Sanders is going to miss, right? Not Demaryius Thomas? Okay.
Sanders is going to, yeah.
I like Jordan Taylor more than I like Benny Fowler. Benny Fowler is going to be like the super popular option this week because he was the immediate fill-in. And that's fine. I understand that. But Jordan Taylor is a big-bodied guy. He has big playability. He's fast. We've seen him flash being very good in the preseason and in short work with the starters. So at 3K, I mean, at 3,300 for Benny Fowler, you're taking a GPP shot as is. I think that his upside is about the same as Jordan Taylor's upside in a GPP. You know, like, they both have the ability to catch a touchdown and go for 100 yards. I just think that Jordan Taylor is a bigger body and can maybe bully ball his way into the end zone a little bit better than Benny Fowler can. So that's my thoughts there. Keenan Allen is 6,300. I can see why you would like that. Melvin Gordon is 7K. I can see why you would like that. But apart from prices, man, it's hard for me to think that the Denver defense doesn't just come out foaming at the mouth after getting embarrassed last week by that Giant squad. CJ Anderson is now 7,200, which I can't support it anymore. Like, I loved it last week, and it was the perfect situation, and it just went completely awry. So I can't support that. I think the only things that I really, really want in this game are going to be Keenan Allen at 6,300, just based off volume. Jordan Taylor at 3K as a GPP flyer. And Phillip Rivers at 5,300 is too cheap for his upside. So I can get on board with those, but I don't really want anything a lot in this game.
Yeah, first off, with Denver, my biggest concern is Simeon's banged up, and if it means Brock Osweiler is starting, I want nothing to do with any receiver, period. Like, I want nothing to do with Denver. That's my only concern there. I need to hear more on how Simeon's doing. If Simeon's there, I trust him. We've played them a lot. We've loved their little cheap – even Thomas at 5,800 is too cheap. There's a lot to like with that Denver offense if Simeon's playing. So I got to see all that first. And if Simeon's playing, I agree with everything you said. Now, when we go to the Chargers side, yes, Phillip Rivers, too cheap at 53. He's going to throw it regardless of what defense he's playing. He put up nearly 20 points against them in week 1 in Mile High, or Denver, whatever they call it now, in Vesco. So he can play against Denver. It's not a problem. You hit Allen on the head at 6,300, way too cheap for that volume. He had a 15-point game there, double digits every week this season. He's going to get his targets. And Melvin Gordon at $7,000, I played him last week. I played him the week before. I play him almost every week. He is a mini Le'Veon Bell. He's getting targets out of the backfield. He's running through anybody, and you're getting him for $2,000 cheaper. I know Denver's defense is really good. They're technically the best against the run right now if you look at DVOA. But he's getting 7-8 targets a game. He's getting 20 to 25 carries a game. This week at $7,000. I love Melvin Gordon in this game. This is why I love the value for the Chargers. I know it's a tough defense, but you even said Rivers is too cheap. Allen is a great price, and Gordon at $7,000 for his upside is tremendous. The other thing I'll look at, and this is even better if Osweiler starts, the Chargers defense at 2,400. They are putting together quite the pass rush these days, and if they can get in that backfield, they're going to have a world of hurt. So this is another one of the cheap defenses I don't mind. The Rams, the Chargers, and the Bears are the 3 cheapies that I will be backing this week. So 2,400, Simeon is better, obviously, than Brock, but they both can turn it over, and that pass rush is huge. So 2,400 at home, small favorite, low total. Chargers are on my list at 24. Let's move on to Seattle at those pesky New York Giants. Seattle, 5.5-point road favorites, totals around 40. This, I swear, if the Giants do it again, James, I swear, if they do it again.
Yeah, man, I feel you. Seahawks defense at 4K, I would almost rather have the Bears at 2,200, just based off floor and the fear that maybe the Giants losing every single wide receiver that they had would be the best thing that could happen to them. I don't think that it will be, but hey, man, who knows at this point? Anything is possible. Eat Arby's. Russell Wilson at 6,400 is a nice price. I know that he's not very good on the road, but 6,400 is a nice price against a very bad defense. Eli Manning at 4,800. I will not play Eli Manning, just plain and simple. I will not play him even more times against Seattle. So at running back, no. Every single one of these running backs, all of them will be healthy for this game, and all of them are in a timeshare. We could legitimately not see a single running back in this game get 10 carries. So I don't want any of that. No, thank you. I'm going to move forward. I mentioned Doug Baldwin earlier at 6,600. I think that he is a very, very good wide receiver. He needs to be priced above 7K every week. At 6,600, he basically gets Keenan Allen volume. And is just as big play of a wide receiver. He's not as good of a route runner, but he's a very, very good wide receiver. So against this really bad Giants defense, I like him a lot, even if I don't like Russell Wilson very much. Apart from that, yeah, do you take Roger Lewis? Do you take Tavares King? Do you take McVoy? I don't know, man. I only want Baldwin and the Seattle defense from this game. That's all that I want. I can't get behind Jimmy Graham until I've seen something from him this year.
Fair enough. I don't hate Russell Wilson at 64. I don't mind Jimmy Graham at 49. I love Baldwin. I'm with you 100% on Baldwin, 6,600. It's a great play. Horrible. Like you said, he's just like Keenan Allen, basically, and the defenses they're playing are completely different, like polar opposites. So give me all the Doug Baldwin at 66. And if you, for some reason, feel like playing a New York Giant, you play Evan Ingram at $4,400. He's a wide receiver playing tight end. He's another one of those guys, and Eli will feed him all day long because hopefully they are playing from down by like 21 points and everything's right with the world again. But we shall see. But Doug Baldwin, if you want to put a Seattle stack together, I don't hate it. They are one of the highest totals on the board during the slate and all that good stuff, but they are on the road. Luckily, the NFL gave them an afternoon game going west to east. That's going to be a positive. But Baldwin, and if you want to stack, but that's pretty much the only place I want to go in that one. Let's go to Sunday night, the best game on the week, at least on paper. The Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots, Super Bowl rematch. New England 3.5-point home favorites. Total is 55. 5-5. Fireworks. James, what do you got?
Well, I rostered Matt Ryan at home against the Miami Dolphins last week, and he gave me 12 fantasy points. And the New England defense has given up 300 yards through the air in every single week this week. So do I think that the New England defense is going to continue to be historically bad and give Matt Ryan actual fantasy points? Or do I think that Matt Ryan is actually bad and not get actual fantasy points? Something's got to give. This is the matchup that there's usually one or two in a week where something's got to give, where you have that kind of thought. Matt Ryan is going to be exorbitantly overowned. Julio Jones is going to be exorbitantly overowned. I said at the beginning of the year, I didn't think the Atlanta offense would be incredible like it was last year. I thought Matt Ryan had a lot of regression coming, but the regression hasn't necessarily been Matt Ryan's fault. It's because they refuse to feature Julio Jones. They refuse to do it. He does not have a single touchdown this year. He does not have a single target in the red zone this year. He's a freak of nature, dude. Just give him the ball. He will catch the ball over anybody in the game. I don't care. So I'm really, really frustrated with this Atlanta Falcons offense. It is a nut spot, but if you're like me and you think the New England defense has to be better than it has been, then this is an interesting, polarizing matchup. Matt Ryan is a good play in cash. Don't fade him in cash. I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet. On the other side, Tom Brady's incredible. He's worth $8K. He's playing at home. Play Tom Brady. I would much rather play Tom Brady at $8K rather than Matt Ryan at $7,500. Going over to running backs, Devontae Freeman is much, much, much better at home, and even he got vultured last week by Tevin Coleman. So it's just another one of those committees that I'm not super confident in. I will say, though, that New England is awful against pass-catching running backs coming out of the backfield. So that would make me want Tevin Coleman a little bit more at $4,800 rather than Devontae Freeman. I think that's a decent price for him. James White at $5K is fine. The Falcons are not good against pass-catching running backs either. They're not a very smart linebacking group. So I think that James White at $5K could pay off his price based on 5 or 6 catches and some rack. At wide receiver, Julio Jones at $8,500. I want to pull the trigger. I really want to pull the trigger again, but they refuse to give him the ball. And it's coming. I know that the eruption is coming at $8,500, but man, it's so tilting. I hate having recency bias on it. This is a nuts matchup. Just play Julio Jones. He's very good. Chris Hogan at $7K is good. I think that's a good price. That's about where he should be. He should be priced basically with Jordy Nelson because that's what he's turning into. He's just turning into a very nice target in the red zone. Other than that, I think that if Mohamed Sanu comes back this week, $4,800 is a very nice price. If not, you could take another shot on Taylor Gabriel, and I think that would be a good play. At tight end, Rob Gronkowski is $7,300, which is just a gross price to pay for a tight end. But he is the Gronk. He is the monster. And I think that pairing him with Tom Brady is a very contrarian way to go if you're going to play Thursday through Monday. Nobody will have that combination. So there's a lot of upside there. I don't want any tight ends on the Falcons. Austin Hooper has been super underwhelming. And then as far as the defenses go, the Patriots are now just 2,300. The Dolphins beat them last week. Like, the Falcons, I don't know. Julio Jones is very good. Matt Ryan is maybe not very good, but I hate this Falcons team right now. I would rather roster the Patriots than the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm gonna stack the snot out of this game. And I think in the 3-max Thursday through Monday, like 2 of the lineups are having almost complete game stacks. It's going down, and I don't mind Ryan. I love your Julio sentiments. Coleman at 48, in my opinion, and then if Sanu comes back, I'm with you 100%. Him or Gabriel, because they're going to be flinging it around the place, so they're gonna move it, but it's going to be chalk, but it's all about Brady at $8,000. This guy, we've seen him week in and week out be worth every penny that he is. He's in play. I love James White at 5,000. If people don't remember what he did back in February, he destroyed them. He actually scored the 2-point conversion, I believe. He's pretty darn good at football, and especially catching balls out of the backfield against the Falcons at 5,000. With Chris Hogan. At first, when I saw a $7,000 price, I was like, wow, we used to get him so cheap. What he's done, like, he's a freak out there. Brady goes to him all the time over at Cooks. Like, this is his guy. So I don't mind him at 7,000, and I am all over Gronk at 73. I love the fact that he's priced so high because it will make it contrarian. Everyone's going to go away from him. Give me a Brady, White, Gronk stack, and I'll go and put Coleman at running back, maybe a Gabriel Sanu, and we're going to dance. It's going to be fun, and we're going to put some points up on Sunday night because for once, on paper, we have something to really look forward to compared to the Giants at the Broncos. So hope we get what we expect, James. I really do. Last but not least, Monday Night Football, another pretty good-looking game. Washington Redskins at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles 5-point home favorites. Totals around 48.5, 49. Could see some more offense here. What do you got on this one?
I think this is a good game, but this is the second time that they've played, and there's a lot of data out there that says the second time that a divisional game is played, the under hits more likely than not because the defensive coordinators do have a chance to go over the game film and see the tendencies. So I will be lower on this game regardless of whether I'm stacking Pittsburgh or New England or whatever. I think this game looks good on paper, but I do worry about that because that is data that I trust as far as a coordination standpoint. With that being said, both quarterbacks are priced appropriately, $6,500 for Cousins, $6,700 for Wentz. I think both those price tags are good, but both these defenses are good too. The Philadelphia front seven has been fantastic. The Washington defense has been good over the last couple of weeks. They are both underpriced, in my opinion, for teams that are going to throw the ball a lot. $2,800 for the Eagles, $2,400 for the Redskins. In tournaments, if you're like me and you think that the coordinators have figured out how to stop the other team, these defenses are nice. $2,400 for the Redskins is a very nice price against Carson Wentz. At running back, if Rob Ellie misses again, I'm totally fine going back to Samaje Perine. He should have had 2 touchdowns last week, but they decided to sneak it with Cousins instead and rip my face off and make me just hate everything because I used Samaje Perine last week over Jerick McKinnon. So that second touchdown would have helped me close the gap, and I think that it would have been still a good GPP play. It just didn't pay out. LeGarrette Blount at 4,500 is fantastic. He's been one of the best running backs in the league per snap and per touch, but he hasn't been getting the volume that we need for a running back. If Smallwood misses again, which I don't know if he does after a couple weeks of being out, I'll fire up LeGarrette Blount again at home as a good favorite against this Washington team. I still like LeGarrette Blount a lot. At wide receiver, Alshon Jeffrey finally gets a good matchup against Washington. He's faced just every single cornerback in the league, and that's why he hasn't produced and why he's only 6,200. But against Washington, with no Josh Norman and only Rashad Breeland, who was banged up last week too, I really like Alshon Jeffrey. He has huge playability. He's a big body. Carson Wentz has been willing to throw to him when he's open and when he's downfield, has just missed him a couple times. So I really like 6,200 for Alshon Jeffrey. Nelson Aguilar at 4,900 is a legit wide receiver. He has a touchdown in 4 out of 6 games. I really like him moving forward. He's still too cheap for what he can bring to that offense. Terrell Pryor is 5,300, but does he suck? Like, are we ready to admit that he sucks? He was a 1,000-yard wide receiver with the Browns. Literally can't do anything with Cousins. And I'm not going to give up on him. I'm going to keep using him because I do believe in the talent and I do believe in his stature. But, man, he might suck, man. I don't know. He might suck. At tight end, Zach Ertz at 6,900 is a very nice price against Washington. But it is slightly cheaper than Gronkowski, who I would probably rather have if I'm playing the Thursday through Monday slate. With that being said, Zach Ertz is basically Gronkowski. I think it's mostly a wash there. I think that you can still have Zach Ertz, but for the reasons that I have of defensive coordinators knowing the game plans of the other teams, I would just rather have Gronk. Jordan Reed at 4,800 just keeps getting cheaper. Philadelphia is not the right matchup to attack, though, because they have good safeties. So I really just want the defenses and Alshon Jeffrey, I believe.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle where you mentioned when they played for the first time, now it's the second time through, that the under game planning and all that stuff, that's a very, very good point that I didn't even think about till you mentioned it. I like the prices on guys like Cousins and Wentz because they just throw it and most defenses don't slow them down. So I see the justification if someone wants to go there. I don't hate a pass-catching back like Chris Thompson, but I'm more about value in this game if I'm doing anything at all because I'm probably having New England and other things involved. So a guy like Doxson at 3,800, who they've already come out and said we want more Doxson in this offense, especially I think a lot of it has to do with the fact Pryor can't get it done. It's that simple. So let's use our weapon that we have. So I don't mind him at 38. Jeffrey definitely in there. And I love Aguilar at $4,900. His value is tremendous still in that offense. So a couple cheap receivers is where I'd look. Ertz at 69 is great. It's nice, but I agree. If you're going to pay that much, you pay for Gronk. It's that simple. It was different when he was like a grand cheaper or something. Then I could see it because Ertz is going to get fed. There's no doubt about it. And as Bucks would be the first to tell us, tight ends versus the Redskins, you just go do it. So if you want to play Ertz, that's fine. But if you have $400 left over, go get Gronk. It's that simple. Just do it. But I do like Aguilar, Doxson. This game should be a very good football game, even if it's not high-paced. Maybe it is high-paced. Fun to read. So I get both sides of the spectrum there, and defensive value definitely in play. So don't mind it at all. Alrighty then, let's get some core plays, busts, all that good stuff as we have completed the 15 games. James, give me some of your core players for the week.
Yeah, so I really, really like Ezekiel Elliott. We already talked about it. He's going to be somebody who I gravitate to if I'm not taking Kareem Hunt. Those will be the two running backs that I pay up for. But it's mostly going to be Ezekiel Elliott. I also really, really love Robert Woods. We were both on that play. I'm going to keep using wide receiver twos against Arizona until I'm blue in the face or until it just doesn't work for the rest of the season. And then I think the Bears are going to be one of my core plays. At 2,200, they offer sack potential. They offer interception potential. They play a slow game. They don't really give up many points. We saw their upside last week against Baltimore. So at 2,200, I think they offer you a really nice floor for a defense, which is kind of hard to find, especially for a cheap defense. And then at tight end, I think that you have to go Delaney Walker. Like it's really important to take Delaney Walker against the Browns this week.
Yeah, I don't hate that on that at all. That running back, I'm going to be, if it's not Zeke like we talked about, I'm really going to still be heavy on Gordon and Jay Ajayi. Those will be my 3 main running backs, and I'll build around them. But I'll have a lot of lineups, just those 3 kind of incorporated. At quarterback, Tyrod Taylor and Phillip Rivers and that little spectrum, I like that a ton. Wide receiver, Woods and Thielen will be 2 of my more heavily owned receivers. Woods will be my heaviest by far. tight end, I love the Walker take. And then if not him, ASJ. You need one of those two. I think those are very, very critical to your weekend. And then, yeah, if you're paying up, I'm going Vikings at defense. If not, it's all about the Rams, Chargers, and Bears. And I love the Bears at 2,200. The savings you're getting, like we talked about, it's tremendous savings in a game where on paper there should be low scoring and tons of opportunity for them to be productive and get you value at 22. You don't need the Saints to go off like that, but 2,200, give me 6-7 points, maybe double digit me, and we'll be in business. What are some of the busts you're looking at this week?
I'm going to call it right now, man. I think that Matt Ryan is going to be a bust. I understand that it's going to be like the chalk game. I get it. But I just don't – something has got to give. And we've been looking at these sure thing spots over the last couple weeks. This could turn out to be the Broncos against the Giants. Like, everybody thought last week the Broncos were just going to stomp. Everybody this week thinks that Matt Ryan is going to go off against the Patriots. I'm going to call him as a bust. I don't think that he puts up over 20 fantasy points. As far as running back busts – Devontae Freeman is an easy one. CJ Anderson is an easy one. I don't think there's any way either one of those guys really meet value. They're just overpriced for what the matchups entail for both of them and for the usage entails for both of them. At wide receiver, I'm going to call Larry Fitzgerald a bust. That one's really easy for me. And then, who's the other one I was looking at? Oh, yeah, T.Y. Hilton. Because people have loved going to T.Y. Hilton, and I think that they're going to love going to him again. But 6,100, there's no way he's meeting value. So those are mostly going to be my busts. At defense, I think that you could choose the Cowboys as a bust as well, because I do think 49ers can score points, and I'd just rather pay down.
Yeah, I agree with that. Quarterback, I'm going to go to Cam Newton. Just correlates with our defense. I'm going Cam Newton at 7,000 plus. He's not going to get it done. Running back, this one's a little difficult because I really like a lot of the high-priced guys, but I agree Freeman's too high in that setup there. If not him, C.J. Anderson at 72. He's not going to meet that price tag. You might have a good game, but he's not meeting that price tag for you because everyone's kind of like the T.Y. Hilton at the running back position these days. Wide receiver, yeah, we both kind of were on Fitzgerald earlier. I totally – get behind that one in that matchup. And tight end, I'll go with Jordan Reed. I don't like him at 4,800 in that setup. I really don't like him there. I don't see him being the big guy in that matchup to conquer all things, as they say. And then you got Cowboys. That's too expensive. Their defense is garbage. I don't care what people think about the Niners. That defense is not good enough for that price tag. So definitely in play. Okay, one last thing, James. Give me a bold prediction for the week.
Bold prediction is Ben Roethlisberger as a top 5 quarterback on the week.
I like it. My bold prediction of the week, where did he go? Oh, I know it's a $9,000 player, but Ezekiel Elliott finds the end zone at least 3 times. He's going bananas. It's happening.
Cool.
All right. That'll do it for Week 7 breakdown. Any final words, James?
No, man. I think we covered it. That was a relatively quick one. So 15 games, good coverage, awesome stuff.
Yep, we got it in. We'll have Bucks back next week as long as no one hits a power poll. So the 3 of us will be in play. Again, you can find Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. He'll tweet out some stuff throughout the weekend. You can find James on Twitter at Paydirt_DFS, and I am at BDNtrick. Until next week, guys, NFL 2-point conversion DFS pod. We're out.
See you later.